Hi, everybody. This is Lisa, your grief guide. Glad that you joined us. And as you know, we've been listening to and learning about some incredible people and their stories and their journeys of grief. And today I have with me Teresa, and I'm so grateful that you are willing to be here and to share your story. So, can you tell us about your son?
Sure. So my oldest son, Nathan, was killed in a car accident in 2021. It was September 2021, so it's been about 3.5 years. He was 25 years old and the oldest of 3 sons. It was very sudden death, so there was no ability to say goodbye. It was just a very sudden, notification that he had died, no hospitalization or anything like that. So that was about 3.5 years ago now.
Can you tell us, Teresa, like on your grief journey? And I know you and I've talked, and you've said that you were kind of one who just like dug in, like you wanted to know, you wanted to read, you wanted to learn, you wanted to figure it out, you wanted to grow, you wanted to heal, all the things, right?
Yes.
So what would you say, like, along the way in your journey were maybe some of those markers for you that kind of helped, move you along?
Well, right after, I felt that I was in shock, for sure. I think I've heard that from a lot of people, but I was definitely in shock. And I was just going through the motions. Those first few days, everybody, families coming and everybody surrounding you and letting you know that they're there for you to do whatever it is you need for them to do. And I had so much support, and I felt very grateful for that. But I don't think I started really grasping what had happened for it. It took a very, very long time. So the early days and weeks, I barely remember at this point. But then it was about, I would say, about 1.5 years in is really when the turning point. I feel like it marked something in me where it was starting to kind of sink in that he wasn't coming back. It really took that long for me to even start grasping that, like, it had actually happened.
Yeah, and I think you make a really good point. We've talked about this quite a bit, like in our groups and stuff, that those initial days, months, years, we are in shock and we feel numb and we feel like a robot in our life, and we know we're in our life, but at the same time we're saying this can't be our life, right?
Right.
And I think that it's a form of protection. It's just because the pain is too deep, the pain is too intense, it's too much. You can't feel all that and grasp the reality of what's happened. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing with that timeline was that during the 1.5 years, there had been things that I had done because I was numb. Things I had, parties that my friends had that we attended. And I was just kind of still in shock. But after the 1.5 years, when it really started to grab hold of me, that was around the time that my family and friends as a collective seemed to think that, oh, it's been 1.5 years, she should be getting over it. And I felt that I was like worse at 1.5 years than I was at 8-month mark. So it was at the same time there was starting to be more pressure of, well, aren't you better yet? It's almost 2 years, and unsolicited advice such as maybe you need an antidepressant at this point, maybe you're suffering from complicated grief. And I was doing counseling, and I didn't feel that I think all grief's complicated.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I don't
Agreed.
know if that's a great
Agreed.
term
Yes.
anyway. But it was really hard because I had some very great people in my life that were kind of thinking that I should be getting better when I was actually getting worse.
Right. And that's interesting because in the shock and the awe and the numbness, we're not really feeling anything. Right? We're not feeling anything other than that. And then, as you're saying, like once that reality starts to sink in of what's really happened, and you allow yourself and you begin to feel, then that's almost when the grieving begins. Right? The deeper grieving.
Yes.
And you're exactly right, though. People have that mark of a year or more, and it's like, wow, she's not getting better. Something's really wrong with her, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, I don't know how we change that. I wish we could. I wish we could, but it's really important for anybody listening in to realize that you don't have to be better in a year, and you may actually be further deeper in your pain and grief after a sudden tragic death.
Yes.
Yeah. And to not think that you are depressed or
need something
for that. You're grieving.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was getting at, it's not as if I was in bed every day. And some people do present that way. But I was getting up. I was working full time. I was still showing up for all the things in my life, but I wasn't who other people wanted me to be, which was who I was before my son died. And it took me a long time to realize that person was gone as well. And then I think I still have family and friends who don't realize that. Mm-hmm. They think that I'm clinging, that I've had a lot of, things about advice on how to focus on the positives or to focus on my other 2 boys. I still have 2 boys left, so I should appreciate that, or appreciate the 25 years I had with Nathan. And close people have said these things to me. Family have said these things to me. And at some point, I just started saying to them, what makes you think that I'm not appreciative of those 25 years? I can be appreciative and still be devastated that my son's gone. I wanted more than 25 years. But I'm still at the same time very grateful for my boys and for I have a grandson, and I'm grateful for all of those things, but it's not either or.
No, it's and I talk about that, right? The power of and, that you can, as grieving people, we can be grateful and grieving. Yes. We can be sorrowful and celebrate. And it is the bane of bereavement, so to speak, is that we're always all of those things at the same time.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well-meaning friends, right? Or family, like you do.
I do have to mention, though, there was a couple, diamonds in the rough, so to speak.
Sure.
Because I did have a niece who said to me, I had said to a couple people in my life that I just felt like I wanted to die. I wanted to die. And that's how dark it felt. I didn't know how else to describe that feeling. And the reaction that I received was very much, like horror. How could you even think that? You have 2 other sons to think about. You have a grandson that's like so selfish to think like that. But one person, my niece, when I said that to her, she responded, "Of course you feel like you want to die. Your son died. And that's, of course you feel like that. Who wouldn't feel like that?" And she was just there with me in that moment. And she instinctively knew that it was just me trying to describe how I was feeling.
I just came across a quote, and I had never seen it before, but it was pertaining to the loss of a child, and it says something like, I died that day too, they just forgot to bury me. And we've talked about that too, and maybe you can say more about that, like in also really coming to terms with whoever that person was, whatever that life was, is gone, right? It will never be the same. It'll never go back to normal, or it will never go back to the way it was. That's gone. So can you share a little bit of some of those things that you've experienced, like in this new way of trying to rebuild your life, and what that's been like for you, and kind of discovering that, so to speak?
I think that it's really taking me a long time. So it's been about 3.5 years. And I feel as if it's taken me a long time to really understand that there isn't going back. There's only going forward. And my husband and I, we often say that we're living in the upside down now. Mm-hmm. That everything was turned upside down, and we're living here. But at the same time, I do feel like I see light now. I see flickers of light sometimes. Sometimes it's dark again for brief times. But I feel more prepared to sit in the darkness. I really did a lot of journaling, counseling, seeking out grief books, seeking out Grief Guide, mm-hmm. seeking out different organizations that help with grieving. And I feel that I take little things from every resource mm-hmm. that I have tried, and just kind of put together what helps me on my journey. Mm-hmm. I pay attention to what makes me feel peace. Mm-hmm. I'm much more compassionate with myself. The power of no. I found my no, mm-hmm. Which I didn't really have before because I'm a people pleaser. So if I really can't do it, I just don't. Mm-hmm. I show up where it's most important, and I'm still working on the integration of that underlying shadow. Mm-hmm. Will always be with me, mm-hmm. But there's still light to be found. Mm-hmm. But it's it ebbs and flows. Mm-hmm. I guess.
Yeah, I love the way you put that you have found your no.
Yeah.
And I think grief will do that, right? I think we can learn really quickly that when we say yes to something, whether it's to go out or a celebration or maybe just coffee with a friend, and then we just know we can't be there. But it's a beautiful thing to be able to learn the power of your no, and to know that as a grieving person in a life that's been shattered, that you may not say yes to the things you used to say yes to, because they just don't fit anymore, or they don't feel right. Yeah, right. They don't fit, or they don't feel right. Yeah, so that's a really, I think, a powerful reminder for people. I know we've talked about too, grief also can force us to seize every moment then too, mm-hmm. right? To yes. be in every moment and not want to miss anything, and so that's the give and take, because that's hard too, right? Because we don't want to miss anything now, mm-hmm.
Yes.
Which there's a great part of that, and you still have to say no, right? So if you had to say, Teresa, in this journey, what have been the things that have been most helpful to you?
So I feel like the most helpful thing for me, has been rituals of grief. Mm-hmm. Doing different rituals, and including my son in life still. That is so important to me, and that brings me peace. So there are just different things that we do, from going to a lantern, a festival where you can put the name of your loved one on a lantern and release the lantern, and different memorial, attending your Blue Christmas program, just around Christmas time, just doing things. We have things set up, a little memorial garden, and a couple of people helped me with that. Close people helped me set that up. So just different rituals that I feel that I can still include my son, and then talking about him, saying his name. I don't know if I said it was Nathan. So saying his name is very important to me. And even little things. I got this one tidbit from a podcast that I listened to, and it was that when you order a pizza and they ask for your name and you're waiting, or for some takeout food, I'll say Nathan, and then when they call out Nathan, and I just walk up and pick up the food.
I like it.
Because somebody's saying his name.
I like it.
I've only done that once or twice, but I have done it, and I thought it was a cool little...
It is. I'm going to use that, because I think that's one of our, and you and I've shared this in losing a child, is that we know that everybody else forgets very easily, but obviously we never will, right?
Right.
And we don't ever want to stop saying their name.
Right.
Ever. So I love that. I think the rituals too just reinforce that they lived, and they lived a life, and that we don't want to forget, and we won't ever forget, but we want to find ways in which to honor and remember and celebrate their life.
I want to still spend time with him. And I think I got the idea of saying I'm spending time with Nathan in my head from, I went to a conference, a grief conference for bereaved parents. And I started talking to a gentleman who said that he had gone every year for, I think, almost 20 years. It was a lot of years. And he said that it's his weekend with his daughter. So every year it's his long weekend that he spends with his daughter. And ever since he said that, I thought there are still ways to spend with my son, time with him, just in different, it's different.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's beautiful. Yeah. Thank you so much for being willing to share your story today. And
absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm sure that people that are listening will be helped, so I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.